I'm going to try and get y'all out of here in plenty of time to head over to the other sessions. But I am so excited to talk to y'all about this concept of small changes, big impacts. But before I get going, you got a little bit of bio of me, but you really need to know who is this guy. Because if y'all have seen me on Facebook or Twitter, you may or may not be excited about this experience. You may be thinking, why did Dr. Wilson call this man to come out here? Well, the first thing you should know is I'm grounded at home with all of these things. These guys are the best part of my life. I am married and have 4 awesome kids. One of them, you'll notice, well, let's walk through them real quick. The oldest one here, Ryland, she's the oldest, and she's almost a teenager. Man, some of y'all have teenagers, some of you don't, and so you don't know the response to that yet, but it's okay. That's my 10-year-old. He's going to be golfing in a competition later this afternoon. Up until 3 days ago, I didn't know he knew how to golf, so that's interesting. That is I think he's, gosh, like 8 maybe? No, he's 7. He's definitely 7. There's 4 of them, okay? My 7-year-old, and he's the one, like, you think your first one's the smart one, and then you get the second one, you're like, oh, you're pretty smart too. But my third one, I'm like, you're messed up smart, kid. Like, you're kind of weird. But he is addicted to reading. He is just awesome guy. And this is Kennedy, our youngest one. You'll notice she looks a little bit different than the rest of us. She's adopted. Surprise! She's from China, and she's been a part of our family for 4 years now. We can't imagine life without our little Kennedy. She was born with a cleft lip and palate, so she couldn't talk whenever she was for the first 2.5 years of her life. And then we got it repaired, and she hasn't stopped talking since. So if you need somebody to talk to, come over to my house. Kennedy will just talk to you for the rest of your life about whatever you want to talk about. So these are pretty awesome people. As mentioned, I am an alumnus here of Houston Baptist University. I've got familiar faces here. Dr. Wilson was actually one of my professors while I was here. It was pretty cool. I'm class of 2004, so somebody's getting older. It's been a minute since we've been here. So I found this picture last night, actually. That's me right there when I was skinny. I also had hair then as well. I did the doctoral program with Dr. Alanis. Dr. Spody, anybody taking classes from Dr. Spody? I've known Dr. Spody for more of my life than not of my life. I've known him for a long time. He may or may not claim me. I'm not certain. And I also know Dr. Beavers here at the university. So it's really cool to be here. As mentioned, I'm the Director of Digital Learning in Lamar CISD. We are the 6th fastest growing school district in the state. We add a new campus every single year. So next year, we're opening a new elementary school and a new 6th grade center. So if you need a job, we're hiring. And you should come work for us. It is the best district in the state of Texas. My direct responsibility is as the Director of Digital Learning is I'm over an amazing team that makes sure the technology application teaks are covered in our schools. Those are those skills that we say our kids should know whenever they leave, those technical skills that can sometimes be forgotten. We push that real hard. And then I'm also over all of our amazing librarians, that we have 40 librarians out there, and I'm over all of those folks. And I love my job. It's a blast to be there. Real quick, so I know who I'm talking to real fast, raise your hand if you're an undergraduate student. Undergraduates, all right, a couple. Raise your hand if you are graduate students. Doctoral students. All right, pretty cool. High school students. Hey! You're high school too? Yeah, awesome sauce. That's pretty cool. Whenever Dr. Wilson reached out to me, she said, I want you to talk about small changes, big impact. So I immediately did what any good presenter does. I went to the internet and I searched, okay, what are some small changes that'll have some big impacts? And I am really excited to share with you 7 small changes that will have a huge impact on your life. And these are life-changing. I assure you they're life-changing because they're all from this lady right here. Oprah.com, folks. So these are legit, okay? If you haven't started taking notes yet, now's the time, all right? The first, I'm just going to do 7 of them real fast. She had others. First of all, if you ever, any of y'all interested in maybe losing a few pounds, I'm there. I'm in that place. If you eat an apple before lunch, people that eat an apple before lunch on average eat 190 calories less than people that don't eat an apple before lunch. So if you're like, I've got a little bit of extra me right here that I'd like people to love less, you can eat an apple before lunch, you lose a few pounds. Eat it 15 minutes before you eat. So have your 15-minute apple probably like right on it. Say 15 minutes before. Second thing, brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand. If you brush your teeth with your non-dominant hand, research shows that you will be happier and more creative. I don't know why, but that's pretty cool. Like, you'll also lose your teeth earlier because you won't be brushing your teeth as well. Because, like, I think of brushing my teeth with my left hand. I'm like, I'm going to miss some teeth. It's just going to happen. But that's a cool thing. So it can improve your mood. It triggers some extra neurons for you. Oh, this is a good one. Looking to update, like, strengthen your core. Everybody talks about core. My wife is a CrossFitter, and she has a core. Like, I don't have a core, and so I need to work on that, but I'm not going to CrossFit. But what you can do with this is if you take a deep breath in, everybody take a deep breath in, and then let it out, and then like you hold your stomach real fast while you're walking, you're apparently doing an ab workout, and you only look sort of weird, and you can't talk to people. So if you do that for 5 seconds and then repeat it in cycles of 10, you're going to have abs. You're not going to have abs, but that's what they say. Feeling a little lethargic? Eat 1 ounce of walnuts every day. Walnuts, lethargy can be tied to having a fatty liver, and so if you're feeling a little low, eat walnuts, because walnuts have these things, these omega-3s in them that can help your liver get a little bit healthier. So if you feel a little lethargic, don't drink more coffee, eat an ounce of walnuts. These are getting more interesting as they go through. As a side note, if you laugh at the things I say, it just makes us all feel better. Want to improve your memory? Repeat things over and over again. Whenever you meet somebody for the first time, awkwardly say their name every couple of sentences so you know who they are and what they, so you don't forget that. For students that are still in classes, this is a great one. Your professor's going to teach you something. The best way for you to ensure that you know it, repeat it back to them and say, so what I think you're saying is, and then repeat it back. If you do that, you're showing that you've digested what they've covered for you. If you want to have better memory and focus, chew gum. Chewing gum, they don't know why, but it triggers things in the brain that'll help you focus and memorize things better. And then this last one is fantastic, another weight loss option. If you want to lose weight, drink umami-flavored drinks. Umami is like a meat flavor. So that sounds awesome. So drink meat juice, and you'll be more full, and you'll lose some weight. So that one actually sounds terrible. I would never do the umami drink, but that's just one of the things that Oprah says we could do. All right, those things are silly. But I do want to talk to you about a thing that does. It's not quite so silly, but some of you are like, no, I'm going to do that walnut thing. I'm going to do that. But I wanted to talk to you all about something that's a little less silly, and it's about something that it needs a big impact. Okay, so we're going to watch this little video real fast. This is a topic that really, really touches my heart. Inequity it hurts me. It's not fair that a student that was born in this zip code does not get the same opportunities as the kid in this zip code. That breaks my heart. And I'm always looking for those fixes that will have the biggest impact to correct those inequities. And so this is my big passion right now is reading. This is my number one passion, the thing that I'm reading all about right now. Because if you look at this, I know it can be a little hard for you to see there, but on the left-hand side, this is lower income community, and it says at the top there is 1 book per 300 children in those lower income communities. 1 book for 300 kids. On the other side, upper middle income community, there are 13 books per 1 child. God, it's obvious how there's inequity there because they just don't have the resources to be successful in there. And there is so much research that shows that if there is one thing that will change your life trajectory, it is reading and reading often, especially at those early ages. You look at this, for students that had the one book per 300 children, the lower income, 83% of those kids read below grade level whenever they're getting up into like third grade. For the kids that had access to books, only 55% are reading below grade level. Just giving them access to books can change so much of their trajectory in their future. 26% will not graduate if they didn't have access to books. Only 9% will not graduate if they didn't have access to books. That's huge, and that matters, and that's an important thing. It also is a part of the summer slide. If students read over the summer, they are learning, and they're not losing those things they learned during the school year. If you read 20 minutes a day, 5 days a week as a student, you will keep going in that upward trajectory all summer long. If you don't, you're going to lose 3 months of literacy learning over that summer. And you'll notice summer is not 3 months long. But there's a lot of research on this that shows, and that's why the gap happens there, and it only gets worse every single summer. So the problem that we have here is we've got to get our kids access to books so they can read, because reading is just a small solution. It's a small change that can have such a huge impact on our kids. If you look at this, if a student A read 20 minutes a day, they will have read 1.8 million words per year, have read 851 hours by 6th grade, and they're 90% likely to score better than their peers on their tests. It's just 20 minutes a day. If kids will read, we change their trajectory, and that's huge. So how do we get that big impact? We get it with small changes. The small changes can be things like little free libraries. You've seen them. Those are the cute little boxes with books in them. If you put them up and put good things in there, people will use them, and that's an opportunity for kids to get books that they would never otherwise be able to get inside of there. If you see one of those around your community and you're like, I wonder if anybody uses that, you should start using it so other people will start using it, because they'll see other people doing it. That's an important thing. And put some good books in there. Not the books that you're like, well, I didn't enjoy reading this, I'll donate this one to the box. No, the goods, go buy a Harry Potter and put it in there so some kid can get Harry Potter. Free book table at your school. I've read the stories about how at a school they'll set up a 6-foot table at the front of the school, and it's just covered with books. And it's just a book swap. Kids come in, they pick up a book, they leave a book, or they leave 2 books, and they just do a book swap. So anybody that needs a book can always access it right there. Principals' bookshelves. Any principals in the room? A couple of us. Principals, you can create an environment of reading on your campus by just having bookshelves of books and encouraging kids to come in and just grab one and talking to them about it. Or you're reading one and you say, hey, I think you would like this one, and hand it to a kid. Book murals painted inside of buildings. It still continues and pushes reading in the class, and then classroom libraries can be a huge one. It's all about getting book access all over the place. If you are pushing books all over the place, kids are going to be reading, and they're going to take advantage of those things. If you want to learn more about the value of reading, this is kind of like the Reader's Digest of all things important reading. This is Game Changer by Donald Miller and Colby Sharp. It is a fast read. It's all research-based data about the value of reading, but it's also partnered with actual people in the field saying, and this is how I took that research and implemented it to see real changes where I'm working. Like, you can read this in a half a day. It's really good, and you'll be so excited after you get done with it. So that was a series of small changes that you can make. Book libraries, a little book stand for things to be open. My district, one thing that we're doing is we're opening up our libraries this summer. We will have every single one of our elementary schools open 1 day a week for 2 hours all summer long, so our kids can come to the library and get a book. Because some of you are thinking, isn't there a public library? My kids aren't going to go to the public library. They can't get to the public library, but they'll go to their school library because it's down the street, and they'll walk there, and they love their librarian, and they'll make it happen. So I'm really excited about that. So those are small changes that we know the research tells us are going to have a big impact. But to talk to you, so I gave you some examples of small changes and big impact, but I wanted to talk to you about the practical now, okay? So how do you identify what small changes need to happen to have that the big impact that you're looking for? I want to start off by, this is the first question that you have to address. What is the real problem that needs to be changed? Because you can look at a situation, be faced with a situation, and be like, oh, I'm going to implement these changes that did not impact anything. And then you're just wasting your time, and that makes you sad, and nobody got time for that. So you need to be focused and make sure that you are tackling the problem that is worth tackling. So I'm going to create a scenario for us, and I'm going to need a volunteer here in about 30 seconds. So be thinking to yourself if you want a volunteer to be a part of this. One person in the room at least works for me, so I can make her do it. Let's talk about Timmy. This is Timmy. You've probably seen this meme before. Dear teacher, I talk to everyone. Moving my seat won't help. Has anybody taught this kid? You're like, I had a kid sit at my desk, and the kid talked to me. I'm like, you must be quiet. I have to have quiet. But he's just a talker. That was his thing. That was his jam. That was his thing. And so what we're going to address is we want to figure out how to get Timmy to stop talking in our class. So we've got to get down to the root problem of why Timmy is talking in class. Why won't Timmy shut up? We've got to figure it out. I love this image here of getting to the root problem, because if anybody that has weeded a garden, anybody weed a garden before? If you don't get the root, what are you doing next weekend? You're weeding that garden again. You've got to get the root. You've got to get to the root cause. And a lot of times, we implement changes that address the low-level problem. They don't address the root cause, and so then we have to just keep weeding that garden every single weekend. Whereas if we'd have just gotten the root, that sucker would have been gone and it'd be done. So I've got a strategy for you. This is called the 5 whys, okay? So this is a strategy for helping you get to the root of the problem. So this is where I need a volunteer. Any volunteers want to come up here? Come on up. All right. You don't even work for me. How are you? I'm Chad.
Hi, I'm Gabby.
Nice to meet you. Do you work? I know you, yeah. She doesn't work for me, but we know each other. She's a teacher in Lamar CISD, right? All right, cool. Okay, you're gonna be the why person, okay? So you hold those, and in a second, you're gonna ask me the questions, and then I'm gonna give you the responses. So the 5 why strategy, what it is it's the rule that anytime you've identified a problem, you're going to ask the question why 5 times to get deeper to the root. Because if you just ask the problem one time, like, why were you late today? Well, my car wouldn't start. Well, that's not a solvable problem. Like, you could be like, oh, well, go fix your car. Well, that's not helpful. It's let's keep asking why till we get to the root cause, okay? So Gabby here is going to ask the whys, and then I'm going to give my answers, and we're going to see if we can't get to the root cause. So this is related to Timmy and why Timmy will not stop talking in class, all right? Why, number 1?
Why does Timmy talk in class?
Timmy talks in class because he is bored.
Why is Timmy bored in class?
Timmy talks in class. Is bored in class because the class material doesn't really challenge him.
Why doesn't the course material challenge him?
Well, because Timmy is a pretty smart kid and he doesn't need to spend as much time on things as the rest of the class.
Why is Timmy having to spend the same amount of time on material as every other student in class?
Well, because I haven't really differentiated my lessons for fast learners like Timmy.
Why haven't you differentiated your lessons?
And now we all know it's my fault. Because that's a lot of work, and I haven't done that yet. Oh my gosh, it's all my fault that Timmy won't stop talking in my class. Do you see how that helped? Thank you. Let's give Gabby a big round of applause. A lot of classroom managers would look at it and say, you just need to have stronger classroom management rules so there are consequences in place and rewards in place for Timmy to stop talking. But that wasn't the problem for Timmy. The problem for Timmy was that he was bored in the class. Why was he bored? He was bored because the class didn't move fast enough for him. Why is the class not move fast enough for him? Because I'm not differentiating instruction to meet his needs. Why am I not differentiating? That's a lot of work. I haven't had time to do that. I'm a teacher. Leave me alone. Do you see how asking those 5 whys gets you to that root cause? And sometimes you have to think really hard about this, because somewhere in the middle, it could have been like, well, why is Timmy so far ahead? Well, because Timmy's parents work with him too much at night. They need to be less involved. You're like, no, that's never an answer. So you have to be thinking about what this is. But I love the 5 whys strategy. That's a great way for you to get to the root cause of something. The next thing you have to do is once you have found out what the root cause is by using a strategy like the 5 whys, you've got to figure out what change should be made. We are all educators. That means we don't make enough money and we don't have enough time. And that's a bad combination of things. So we've got to make sure the things that we do are the best use of our time possible. So we've got to make sure that whenever we try and tackle a change, it is the best possible change that we can make. The real strategy I have for this is talking with people like this in this room, going to conferences and learning from smart people, and making sure that you're asking for help. For the high school kids, it's whenever you're in your own classroom, here's the deal. First-year teachers, we clean up all of your mess. It's okay. We all know that first year is going to be a hot mess. We're there to help you out. But you've got to go talk to those other experienced teachers that have been doing this for a while, because they've got some good answers for you that you haven't thought of yet, that you haven't had the experience to do yet. The person you don't talk to is that guy. It's funny, I Googled miserable teacher, and Professor Snape came up. I was like, that's fantastic. This is wonderful. But again, if you're thinking about asking for help from the teacher that hits students on the back of the head with a book, that's a bad strategy for you. You want to go find that teacher of the year that is just incredible and ask them questions. You want to be reading books like that Donald Miller and Colby Sharp book so that you can be getting some best practice from their world. So go talk to those really smart people in your life that can help you out with that. Once you know what the changes are, so you've identified the root of the problem, you've identified what this small changes that you're going to make, you need to define what success looks like before you move on. Because if you don't know what it looks like to be successful, you have no idea if your change is doing anything. So you need to define, if I make this change, my goal is that Timmy will talk 30% less or annoy me 30% less, something in that realm, okay? And you have to define what that success should look like so that you can then evaluate whether or not you're being successful or not. If you don't set that up at the beginning, you have no idea if it's working. I love this Dilbert cartoon. How are you doing on your unspoken objectives? My what? I'm referring to the goals I have in mind that I've never mentioned. How are those going? Totally nailing them. If you don't identify what your goals are, you will either always be successful and not actually change anything, or you will never be successful because you don't know what success looks like. So you have to work on those things and identify them. And this is my last thing. This is a common theme that shows up in a lot of my presentations. It's the idea of being stubborn. Whenever you implement a meaningful change, you must be stubborn, because nobody likes change. Literally no one in the world, except for babies and dirty diapers. It's an actual quote. Somebody said this, and you can look at Barbara Johnson. I don't know who Barbara Johnson is, but that's her quote. No one likes to be changed, but babies and diapers. Change is hard, and it takes a lot of effort. And a lot of people like to pull out a change well before they really should, because they're going to say, this is a lot, you moved my cheese, I'm done. And they're going to try and get off of that boat as fast as they can. But you are going to have done all of these great steps before then. You are going to have identified what the root cause is. You are going to have taken the time to figure out what is the right change to make. You're going to identify what success looks like at the end, and you're going to be stubborn. And you're going to say, you know what? I know this is a change. I know you are feeling this change right now, but we're going to be patient with it, because I think in the end, it's going to work out for you, and it's going to be for the best. I annoy my team at work with this concept all the time, because I am a stubborn person, and I think I'm right a lot. I'm probably not right a lot, but I'm willing to hold on for a long time. My team will come to me and say, okay, we need to stop this, we need to drop this, we need to do it this way, and I'll say, nope, we're going to hold on to it. We said that this is going to work this way, and I trust that it's going to work this way. We will be patient. And most of the time, I'm going to be cocky and say I'm right, because we thought it out. We had a plan. We weren't just willy-nilly doing things. We got to the root problems and identified what the right changes were to make. You have a great morning ahead of you with some really great speakers. I encourage you to take the things that you learn from these sessions and identify those small changes that you can make that will have the biggest impact to the world you're working in right now. You have some amazing experts to learn from, and they're going to really help you identify what the right changes are for your world and possible things you'll see in the future. Thank you so much for letting me start off the day with y'all, and y'all have a great rest of your morning.